If you've ever looked at an overseas job offer and immediately started doing exchange rate math in your head, well, you might want to stop. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking something we're calling the 200K myth. We're going to compare a massive US salary to a seemingly much smaller Indian one, and I've got to tell you, the reality of what it actually means for your family's day-to-day lifestyle, it's probably going to surprise you.
So, here is the big question. Does a $200,000 salary in the US actually make you richer than earning 20 lakhs in India? I mean, at first glance, you'd think, yes, obviously. But there's a huge psychological blind spot here. It's a sort of offer letter myth that traps so many job seekers. We naturally fixate on that shiny top-line number, right? But we totally forget to examine the real economic ecosystem and the actual family expenses that surround it. Let's peel back the layers a bit.
$200,000. Look, it's a massive, dreamlike figure. When you see this sitting there on an offer letter for a tech job in California, it looks absolutely incredible. It feels like you've finally made it. But the money you earn is rarely the money you keep. That gross number, that is literally just the very beginning of the story.
Enter what we like to call the tax illusion. You gross $200,000? Sure. But California's federal and state taxes, they take an immediate and frankly massive bite out of that dream. Your actual take-home pay shrinks all the way down to roughly $120,000 to $130,000. So before you've even bought a single cup of coffee or paid a single utility bill, a huge chunk of that supposed wealth has just completely vanished.
Let's look at California's hidden costs and the true price of living in the Golden State.
Once you have that net income, the daily reality of California living hits hard. For a typical family, rent alone is going to eat up around $3,500 to $4,000 every single month. Then, add in about $15,000 a year for family health care out of pocket. And oh, if you have just one kid, daycare is another $2,000 a month. Suddenly, trying to provide for a family on that remaining $130K, it feels incredibly tight. The money just pours right out the front door.
Okay, now let's pivot over to India, 20 lakhs. It's a fraction of the US gross. If you just do a straight currency conversion on Google, it feels like there is absolutely no way it can compete. But remember, we aren't looking at gross numbers in a vacuum here. We are analyzing the actual real-world impact on a family.
So let's apply that exact same tax reality to someone earning 20 lakhs in Hyderabad. After taxes, you are keeping around 15 to 16 lakh rupees. The drop from gross to net is significantly less severe than that brutal California tax haircut. You are basically retaining a much larger percentage of the money you actually worked so hard for.
Now for the Hyderabad reality check. What do living standards actually look like on a 20 lakh salary?
Here is where the dynamic completely flips for a family. In a really decent neighborhood in Hyderabad, rent is around 31,000 rupees a month. But the real game changer? Full-time house help is roughly 15,000 rupees a month. Think about that for a second. You aren't just covering your basic survival needs, you are literally buying back your time. And that level of convenience is basically a billionaire's luxury in the US.
When you put these specific family lifestyles side by side, the disparity is wild. In the US, daycare for just one child drains $2,000 a month from your budget. But in India, for a fraction of that cost, just 15,000 rupees, you have full-time help dedicated to your home and your family every single day. Ultimately, purchasing power entirely dictates your family's quality of life, not the currency exchange rate. And this leads to a hidden, often totally unspoken reality for so many non-resident Indians. On paper, to everyone back home, they've completely made it. They're living the dream. But behind closed doors, dealing with massive rent, expensive healthcare, exorbitant childcare, they feel quietly, secretly stretched to their limits, both financially and emotionally. That high salary is just constantly eaten up by a punishing cost of living.
Which brings us to the absolute core truth of this whole explainer. The number on your offer letter is not your wealth. Wealth is what remains after you've put a roof over your head, taken care of your health, and actually provided for your family. 20 lakh rupees in India simply does not equal $200,000 in the US, because the financial environments those two families exist in are completely fundamentally different. So I want to leave you with a final thought. Are you chasing a number, or are you chasing true financial peace? It is incredibly easy to get blinded by a massive salary figure on a piece of paper. But true wealth, that's about the lifestyle you can comfortably afford without feeling constantly on edge. I'd highly encourage you to share this explainer with a friend who's maybe looking for a job abroad, and use this to start a real, honest conversation about what financial success actually looks like. Thanks for joining me today, and as always, keep questioning the numbers.